On number 1, you have to use the image to write an equation that best represents the circle below. Whenever you are writing the equation of a circle, you have to know that the circle equation is x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. So, your x and your y are always going to stay, but your h and your k are going to change. Your h and your k represent the center of the circle. And so your h would be the x coordinate for your center, the k would be your y coordinate of the center. Your r represents your radius. So your radius being the point in the center going to the outside. So looking at the picture, you can find the center by looking for the point that lies directly in the middle of the circle. So this center point is at positive 2, negative 5. So the coordinates for the center are positive 2, negative 5. So that means because your h is really your x, your h is 2, and because your k is really your y, your k is negative 5. To find your radius, you would go from that center point to any point that's on the outside. So this is a point that's on the outside, and all you have to do is count how many blocks it is from the center point to the outside. So this means that your r is 3. So your radius is 3. So you take your information that you gathered in your picture and you plug it into your formula. So you're going to have x minus 2 squared plus y minus negative 5 squared equals 3 squared. So x minus 2 squared stays exactly the same, but your y minus negative 5 will turn into plus a positive 5. So you'll have y plus 5 squared. And then 3 squared, of course, means 3 times 3, which is 9. On number 2, you have to write the equation of a circle with a center at 1, negative 7 and a radius of 4. So because you're writing the equation of a circle, you have to have x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. So it gave you all the information that you need. So your center is at 1, negative 7. That means your h is 1 and your negative 7 is k. And because it says your radius is 4, that means r is equal to 4. So when you plug it in, it should look like x minus 1 squared plus y minus negative 7 squared equals 4 squared. So x minus 1 stays exactly the same, so it's going to be x minus 1 squared. But your y minus negative 7 is going to turn into y plus positive 7 squared. And then 4 squared is 4 times 4, which is 16. Three says a circle with its diameter is shown on the coordinate grid below. What is the equation that represents the circle given? So you're again writing the equation of a circle. So it's going to end up looking like x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. So because it tells you that you have the diameter that is from here to here, your radius would be half of that. So if I could find the distance of my diameter, I could find my radius by dividing that in 2, and I can also find my center by taking the midpoint of that diameter. So I need to find the endpoints of the diameter. This point appears to be at 2, positive 5, and this point appears to be at 5, 4. So I'm going to find the distance for the diameter by using the distance formula. So your distance formula is d equals the square root of the x minus x squared plus y minus y squared. So I'm going to say the distance is equal to the square root of 2 minus 5 squared, because those are both my x coordinates, plus 5 minus 4 squared. And you can find that by plugging all of that into the calculator just like it says. So you're going to do second x squared to get the square root. Inside your parentheses, you're going to do 2 minus 5 close your parentheses, squared, plus 5 minus, parenthesis, 5 minus 4, close your parenthesis, squared. So that means your diameter is 3. If your diameter is 3, that means your radius is going to be equal to 1.5. So now you need to find the midpoint in order to find the center. So you know that your diameter has endpoints at 2, 5, and 5, 4. So to find your midpoint, you're going to use the midpoint formula, which is x plus x over 2, y plus y over 2. So you're going to say 2 plus 5 over 2 and 5 plus 4 over 2. So that turns out to be 7 over 2 plus 9 over 2. So you could change that to 3.5 and 4.5. So now you can write your equation for your circle, and that's going to look like x minus 3.5 squared plus y minus 4.5 squared equals your r squared, which is 1.5 squared. So nothing can change about x minus 3.5 squared. Nothing can change about y minus 4.5 squared. But you can change your 1.5 squared. Go into your calculator and doing 1.5 squared, and that gives you 2.25. On 4, it says a circle with a radius of 2 units has its center at the origin. Write an equation that gives any point xy on the circle. So you're basically writing the equation for the circle again. So it's x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. You have to have your hk and you have to have your r. So it tells you that your center is at the origin. Remember, the origin is the point 0, 0. It also tells you that you have a radius of 2, so your radius is 2. So whenever you plug that into the formula, it's going to look like x minus 0 squared plus y minus 0 squared equals 2 squared. Well, x minus 0 is just x, so it would be x squared. Y minus 0 is just y, so it would be y squared. And 2 squared is 4. On number 5, it says the endpoints of a line segment are located at 2, 4, and 5, negative 3. What are the coordinates of the midpoint of the line segment? So because you are finding the midpoint, you need to use the midpoint formula. So your midpoint formula is x plus x over 2, y plus y over 2. So your x coordinates are going to be 2 and 5. Your y coordinates are going to be 4 and negative 3. So you're going to have 2 plus 5 over 2 and 4 plus negative 3 over 2. So you can turn that into 7 over 2 and 1 over 2. So you can either leave it at 7 over 2, 1 over 2, or you can change it into decimals by saying 7 divided by 2 is 3.5. And 1 divided by 2 is 0.5. On 6, it says the endpoints of a line segment are located at 12 pi, 15 pi, and negative 9 pi, 15 pi. what are the coordinates of the midpoint of the line segment? So again, you're finding the midpoint. To do midpoint, you're going to use the midpoint formula, x plus x over 2, y plus y over 2. So your 12 pi is going to be x, your negative 9 pi is going to be an x, 15 pi is a y, 15 pi is y. So whenever you plug it in, you're going to have 12 pi plus negative 9 pi over 2, and 15 pi plus 15 pi over 2. So 12 pi plus negative 9 pi, you would treat these pi's as if they were variables. So you would kind of ignore them until the end and kind of add that pi back in. So you would say 12 pi plus negative 9 pi would be like 12 plus negative 9, which is 3. And don't forget the pi, all over 2. And 15 pi plus 15 pi would be 30 pi over 2. 3 pi over 2 is fine. You can leave it that way. And 30 pi over 2, you probably want to change back to 15 pi. So 3 pi over 2, the 3 and the 2 don't divide evenly, so you can leave it as a fraction, but the 30 divided by 2 does reduce down to 15. Again, you are finding midpoint on number 7 because it says the endpoints of PQ are negative 1, 9 and 9, 11. What are the coordinates of the midpoint of PQ? So if you're finding midpoint, you have to know the midpoint formula. X plus x over 2, y plus y over 2. So you identify your x's and your y's. So negative 1 would be an x and 9 would be an x. 9 would be a y and 11 would be a y. So it would be negative 1 plus 9 over 2, and then 9 plus 11 over 2. Negative 1 plus 9 would be 8 over 2, and 9 plus 11 would be 20 over 2, and both of those would reduce to end up giving you 4 over 10.